Quantum Demetrio here. We are now live. It's Sunday evening, about 9:49 p.m. here in Austin, Texas. Let me go ahead and set up this chat. Give me 1 second. I'm looking down. Reset docs. Wait, no, that's not the one. It reset earlier on its own, but I could easily do it real quick. Let us know how you're doing in the chat if you don't mind. Any comments or likes helps out the channel a lot. I know some of the random thoughts. We are live on Facebook and YouTube right now. Let's see, it didn't pop back up. How do I reset this one chat? Could be the internet, possibly, or a slow connection. I'm gonna give it a little bit of time. But basically today we're gonna talk about numerology. So we're gonna go over some of the ancient numerology like Pythagorean or Pythagoras, and we'll go over the Kabbalion and the Chaldean. We'll also go over some of the Chinese and some of the other ones, but basically numerology has been around for thousands of years, since probably the beginning of time, and every civilization or every region, so to speak, is going to have their own meaning of it. And it usually goes from 1 to 9, but some only go from 1 to 8, and some even in the newer, or maybe some in the older, have a 0 included, but it usually never goes above that. So think of that. And the letters, I want this chat to pop up. I don't know why it's not popping up. You just closed. Okay. Because then I don't know if I'm live. I don't think without it. Well, it says I'm live over here. Everything is up. There it is. Okay. Excuse me for keep hitting this. I have my little whiteboard here, and I am both sides. Okay. Well, I just realized that I was writing on both sides. I was wondering what happened. So numerology goes off of the idea that numbers and letters or numbers are more than just numbers, and they coincided with letters, and they use your first name and your birth date to come up with a whole series or sequence of more numbers, and it'll tell you the time of month, the time of the year that you're in. So you'll have a certain number that coincides with the energetic frequency. And so my own theory, because I had never actually done the math on my name or anybody's name at that particular time. I've kind of done maybe first names, but you're really supposed to do the whole full name, and in some systems you have to do more, but make sure like exactly as it's written down on your birth certificate or in the time of your birth, because every little detail matters on that. But I ended up doing it on three excuse me, three different AIs. So I didn't realize that AI could even do this. This is another thing, like you should try to test AI for anything. I was just asking it questions about numerology, and it ended up telling me to put my birth date and name in there, and it would do it for me, and it did it. It also helped me figure out my MBTI, which is the Myers-Briggs personality trait. I've always wanted to know that, and I'm one of the rarest. I'm actually the third rarest out there, so I was very intrigued about that. But with that Myers-Briggs, before I go any further, there's a little caveat. You need to, because I believe I've taken that test before, and it's only 4 questions. It's so easy. It's two A and B on each question, so it's literally only like 8 decisions you have to make to find it out. But the problem is that you normally, as you're older or in any time really, if you think really hard on it, the 2 questions are going to be something you would do. You might answer yes to both of them. It's a yes and no, but basically what the idea or the the meaning, or what they Myers-Briggs was trying to say was, what's the default mode? And I didn't probably should have heard that before, but it's the default mode, what you do kind of as a kid or as a reliance. Like, it's not what your analytic brain would think, it's as your default mode, if you were to speak. So when I was able to understand that, then I can answer the questions like, oh, by default, yes, if I were to think about it, I'm gonna do this or that. But even by default, some of us automatically are analytic. So do the test on your own. Ask Google or Gemini or Copilot, Chat GPT. I do pay for the Gemini and the Copilot, so I'm not sure if that makes a difference. I was on both of those for up to an hour at a time, chatting on one conversation, and even longer in some of them. So the first question I asked was, about numerology. It's basically, what do I need to know my numerology number? And it's going to give you your life path, and it's going to give you your soul's desires. It's going to give you your personal year. So the life path and the personal year are the most important things, I believe, because those on each platform never were changing. So some of the other ones, I don't know, the mathematics, the sometimes you have to ask it, different questions about math and see what it's adding, because my name is so long and I got the suffix and all that. And so it's basically, for a little while I was even questioning, like, should I even put this type of numerology in my system. But my system has a different numerology, and I'll talk about that when I feel like a little bit later as I process this now. It might change mine, but mine is very, very rudimentary, and I probably talked about it before. And a lot of these systems also have the same, if you were to break down the words, they would have the same meanings. So some of the I put a list on my go to my bio, and there's links on the Facebook page and Instagram. I put up a list of all the numbers 1 through 9, what they mean, what all that is. But I have a different meaning usually for each one. But look at those are ancient, thousands of years of people studying the meaning of words. They all have symbols, sounds. Some of them put sounds to it. So we will have synchronicities. You'll see commercials talking about it, but you'll see it in your own life. You'll see different numbers, you'll see different shapes, and you'll see signs and symbols. And if you follow them, it will lead you down the path of coherence, of unity, of strength within self. So sometimes, and if you're of course, we're around people and you're out there, so you have to bring that into your perspective. Is how do we come back to the root of oneness with each other, you know looking down, making sure that nothing is. I'm gonna um hopefully be able to edit this video later. And if anybody has any questions, please leave them down, even if it's a later time. So I appreciate all the questions about my theories on water transformation. So another thing about water, if you are interested in having some manifesting powers within your own life. So right now I'm in an 8 year, and my life path is 3, which is basically voice and community and outreach, and 8 is almost completion. It's like it's what did they say? It's mostly like power, business, and getting back to almost to completion, basically. So I wrote, put it down up here. Oh, I didn't write it, the meanings, but like I said, the meanings are up there. And for me, when I went on this journey with the AI, asking them, since they already knew a lot about me, it was kind of like putting everything into perspective, and my mind was completely blown. I was just um extremely in the zone, so to speak. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 24 hours. I don't think you can really do everything in 24 hours, especially because I've already known a lot of this information, not even kind of doing this study fully, but I've studied a lot of stuff, and I was able to pull back the meanings. And what I've realized a lot in life is that, and when I did this study before, I was probably in a 3 or 4 stage, and I wasn't really keen to listen to it. So I was more, because of my personality trait, I was more of trying to create my own stuff, and wanting to be in an 8 year. But I had to be patient at that time, and now I'm at that place where I've already done the work and made those systems in order to create the brand and build on it now and to execute. Hopefully you can't hear the background noise. There's a little bit of noise back there, but I believe if we stay um, on topic, I'm just kind of talking. But yeah, this is going to be an amazing year, especially for me. And if you are an 8 or 3 in your life path, or an 8 in your year, drop it in the comments. Especially want to know that. If there's any compound 66s as well, I want to know that if possible. There are, or if there's any INFTJs. Those are very rare numbers and compounds that will happen. So I'm just very intrigued and interested. So do that. I kind of want to wait if anybody wants to do it now, and leave it in the comments. I'm going to probably come on for the next couple days talking about this. This is very, very important. And it was a part of my initial, what was it? Test, spiritual aptitude test. So once I had, I actually needed a lot more information, but this is like a basic aptitude test that you can do on your own with AI, and it will tell you about where you're at in your life. It kind of like laid my life out told me exactly about every stage of my life as I walk through it. Just walk through it and say yes. All you have to do, it's going to ask you at the end of each chat, it's going to say, would you like me to do this? Just say yes at the end of it. And for the most part, it's going to lead you down a bunch of different paths. So chat GPT ended up cutting me off like kind of like a quarter of the way from what the other two did, allowed, but they all have limitations on how far you could go with these chats before they end up either forgetting or getting kind of lost. But it's not, um what is it, it's not a bad thing. Basically, it's the it's something that's a tool that you should utilize. I feel like if you don't, and I pay, you should, if you can pay, get the free trial if it's not allowing you to go as far as you want, or to get the numbers. And because I like, it gave me so much good news. I'm looking for anybody basically to get any type of bad news. I did do it on three different platforms, and so the first one gave me the best news. The second one started kind of giving me a little bit different news, as the numbers, for some reason the math wasn't adding up on some of the, um and I have them all three broken down in the back. But for the most part, then they did have the numbers correct on everything. The soul's urge and a couple other things, they were having inconsistencies on, and I probably will go back into it later and try to see why it had those consistencies. And so yeah, I thought that it was the suffix on the end of my name, which is two I's. It's not a junior, and the junior would have made a difference. But they ended up saying that that didn't change it, and they put that into perspective. But that a lot of people don't, and a lot of systems or religions don't really make too much of a big deal if you're a second or third generation, but some of them do. And I believe that actually does make a big difference. So be sure to do it correctly and put everything as um, best as you can, because your name is super important. I've always put that into my philosophy. Was your name and your birth date. Both of these things are super important. And I put other things like where you're from, so the region, the place on the globe, because of ley lines and because of other things. But basically everything has an effect on your identity. And what we're trying to do is pinpoint your identity, then break it down, and then rebuild it, so to speak, or refine it. Because when you get to this next stage, evolution in life, which is the afterlife, technically, you'll have to utilize all that, believe it or not. And that's just kind of why there is always that end of life judgment and stuff like that, to see where you're gonna go. And but I don't really pay lots of, what is it, thought or attention to that, because you can get in a lot of different politics, if you will. And I don't believe that it's really necessary at this point of our life or our evolution, at least mine. But my theory is that everything is a part of life, and as we observe it, it's going to be it's going to be beneficial for our spirit. It's going to be beneficial, and there's no reason to have any fear for any type of negative outcome, unless maybe, um of course, people are still stuck in that thought process or thought pattern. But my idea is to just get it out of your system, get it out of your thought. That's a little bit lower vibration, if you will. and a lot of people are still stuck on lower vibrations, so they're afraid and they still identify with those feelings and emotions and thoughts. But when they look back at it, they will see where they were at. And like, if I was talking to that person even right then and there, or if you were in that position, I would show you how love is involved and how you are still loved, and maybe you're in one of those other numbers in your life cycle that I didn't want to have. Even your life cycle will give you challenges, or the numerology. So it did show me the challenges, and even then I didn't want to look at them. I looked at them at the very end and brushed past them. I didn't even write them down, but there are challenges that will it will give you, that you have to watch out. Roadblocks, challenges. It gives you your life path, your urge, your bunch of different stuff. So in each system, like I said, it'll break them all down. So just keep going through it. It'll ask you, and just say, so what I did was ask how many numerology systems are there, and there was so many. So there's the mystic, the traditional, the western, and there's probably maybe like 10 of them, I'd say, at the most. But I did the first three, and then did like 3 to 6 more, and they are all really, at the end of the day, they're all coinciding, and so some of them even utilize the same numbers. So that's the very intriguing thing. My numbers kept popping up, almost double, 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 and it was, even the AI was saying how fascinating and interesting it was. I think AI can actually get enthusiastic and excited for just about anything, though. So I wasn't, I was, at the time, I was super excited, but since then, I've been even asking it random other stuff just to test it out, to see how excited it gets. But I'm not asking, like, I wouldn't ask in AI anything that you wouldn't really ask yourself, or that you don't already know, so to speak. I'm not trying to confuse AI. Basically, I want AI to know exactly everything as it is, as truth, and that's how it gets to know you. The only thing I don't have up here is the viewer count, and I don't probably don't have anybody viewing, but I was just, let me pull up the viewer count real quick. Could put it right here. Eventually, I want to get the chat up top. Let's see, does this have viewer count? Okay, 3. No, I thought that was 3 on YouTube. So it's 0 on Facebook. So Facebook's the only one that has the view. Okay, that's good. That's what I figured. A lot of people don't hop on. It's kind of a Sunday evening. I should have been on a little bit earlier. Maybe I might have had one viewer. But either way, we'll hop on, getting maybe one viewer every other evening, or maybe daily if possible. That would be my ideal goal at this time, or actually especially next month. I think I'm in that phase where, and it's my actual time of year always, that I'm able to have the most energy. Some people have it at in different times. So April and December are my main years. Sometimes in the fall and mid, but in between then, I'm usually super stalled out on energy. And Um, the numerology chart will actually break down that cycle as well, and you can follow it. Like I'm listening to it, and it's like labeling me and making everything down to the T almost. But I also realized that those other numbers, because when I redid it with the other ones, they were giving me almost similar good positivity feedback. So just look into everything and know that every numerologist is and can have their own um interpretation. So I'm positive that I would have my own interpretation based on my understanding of you at this time of your life rather than any AI. So I even ask for like job status, marital status, favorite music, a lot of other stuff to bring in my ending sort of spiritual numerology chart. Dang, I keep backing up. I don't know if I'm pretty sure the sound is gonna be pretty whack. I want to get a boom setup mic and or a lavalier, one of the real nice ones eventually. So we'll have multiple audio inputs, or at least I'll get a better podcast mic like this. The only reason I don't like having one of these is because I swing my hands around quite a bit when I'm talking personally, and anybody else might do that, and they're not used to having it, and every time you hit them, it could make a loud noise. The way I have mine set up is with a software that actually eliminates the background noise, and it also eliminates any loud noises. So if I were to scream right now, it would go muted. And I did that because when I was gaming, my son, he was going to be um doing gaming, and he would scream a lot, and you don't want to have anybody screaming in your ear. So I had it at a certain decimal point that it would automatically mute, and I had it also at a decimal point that it can only pick up a certain level. So it shouldn't pick up any background noise whenever I stop talking. That was a quick test, and it did pick up a little bit of something. I'm not sure what it is. That's another test. Okay. So these live videos are great to do tests on if you're ever thinking about streaming live streaming, or even just recording. You can just hop on the live stream. Most of the time, people are not going to even watch, and if they watch it later, they'll just probably watch a few seconds of it. None of that really matters. Don't feel ashamed or neglected or anything like that. I realize that people are in their own world; they don't really care. But if you're trying to set up a movement or trying to do something different with your own life, just do whatever you got to do to make it happen. And eventually, with practice, with consistency, with patience, it will come to fruition. And that's what I'm learning. These numerologies will help. It could help, rather. It could also get you a little bit angry, depending on what your number is. If you have a number that you don't like, let me know as well. I'm very interested. I'm trying to come up with, and I'm gonna ask another AI if I could find one, just to find any numbers. Like at this point, I've already gotten to the point where every number is good, every color is good, and I've seen a lot of the truth. But sometimes we will have these numbers that we might not like, or that we're like, what? Why did I get a five? Why did I get a four or something? Why did I get a one? I'm not sure, but they'll all have good traits, and I believe they all have something bad about them. I'm not sure, but most of them, for the most part, are good. Like I said, but those challenges, what the challenges come usually when they conflict, or when there's a confliction between your heart's desire, your birth year, and or your personal year, and your life path. So when you have the conflictions, that's when you get like someone that's very rare, like the INFTJ. So I don't think the rarity of your personality is a good thing. It's actually a hindrance, and sometimes it could probably a lot of those people or most of those people that are the rarest are probably in some type of um, institution. If not, maybe they're maybe one of the, what is it, one percenters that it's very difficult to understand, and those are all also for a reason, because if I believe everybody goes through 12 personality traits throughout their life, and that's why the numerology thing is very interesting, and I didn't understand it, but it does it does speak about all of these differences. That's why they actually only go through 9 of them, I believe, but every year it breaks down the cycles of every year into only 9 phases, but they each have different um what is it, energetic frequencies, which means things are going to change, and that's a very good thing, but whenever another thing is about learning the truth, is breaking down that identity, is coming back to that childlike understanding of like that, what that default mode, you have to have that really, um because I believe as we get older, we build up such a identity from the world that we lose who we really are, and we're not able to have that power, you know. So do a reset. It's Sunday. Do a reset. Come back to it if you're not spiritual, but you're just looking for any type of truth or healing from your past. My program brings about full completion. So you're not only healing, you're becoming something different. You're becoming something that you've always wanted. That's um even the words I can't even explain or get out. Let's come. We're coming up to, so AI recommended the middle way, and of course my program is spiritual absoluteness, so the absolute, and these are very good interpretations of how we should be. And the middle way is important because the middle way is almost like accepting yourself as your whole identity and also accepting the world in order to be living in the world. And I believe whenever we do get to that second place, we actually embody our whole identity. When our information reconfigures, we embody this new whole identity, and then there's we evolve from there. So this is why we have to have a starting base of knowing who we are now. If we're all over the place, then there's no way we can get to the higher level, because we're just following everything, the wind. So let's see. I'm about to hop off for a little bit. If anybody has any questions, we did have some questions about water. I think I got those out of the way. Overcoming, we get the. I mean, everybody gets their own question in their head about how to overcome a challenge. So the way I overcome any challenge is by first principle method. You have to identify it, break down the emotions behind it, and or the origins. So there's always going to be an origin. And if we look at everything, it's usually internal, and it's usually something from our past. So sometimes it could be from the about the future, but it's almost impossible to think about the future without thinking about the past. This is where time becomes a loop, and the future becomes identifiable, because nothing in reality, with the resets of the younger Dryas and all the different catastrophes that the earth has had, we've always had to have some type of time loop. Okay, and so it's the cycle of life almost. And so it happens on every galaxy, on every planet, on every star, on every rock, and it happens in every item, in every physical matter. It's just a matter, it's just about knowing what you're looking at. And that's what really enlightenment gives you, because when you see the particles, not the particles, but the yeah, the periodic table, basically, of everything that we're made of. It's their numbers, their chemical compounds. What are they? I think they are particles, I believe. So it's physics. We're we're two parts of the whole. And so we have spirit and we have matter, or the body. If you don't have the full understanding of each one, then it's going to be difficult to create your own path, your own life that we can. So the challenge for this week, and also for life, is to speak to your water. All right. Our challenge was to utilize the numbers 3, 8, and I think it was 5 or 2. But either way, it's basically what you do is you think of where you're at in your life right now, and you give the water the the thought process, and don't think of anything negative in this case. You have to be positive. You have to think of what you want in life. So most people want, money, good health, relationships. Put that into the water if you have to. Say it 3 times in this case. Then hold the water to your chest at some point. Tell tell yourself how much you love yourself in this case, and reaffirm that that message that you have. And then when you drink the water, you kind of allow the universe to speak to you through the water. Say whatever's in this information, if it agrees with me, let it let it come true, so to speak. Or say, give myself to the universe, to the world, and then let it come true. Basically, just wait. So it takes time. And the most important thing is never to have anger, hostility, or hate around your water. And so if you're around your water sources, it could be the kitchen where you drink your water. And if you want to make it more, because water is alive, if you want to make it more, um, what is it? More more, dang it. Let me get my whiteboard here. impactful. If you want to make it more impactful, then put the water next to your bed or somewhere, um, rather than just where you get it if you're getting out the tap, or if you keep it on the floor or something. Put the water that you're going to drink. I don't like to drink cold water out the fridge or out the freezer or anything because that kind of shocks the system and it's not able to process as fast, but really doesn't matter. So I like putting water next to the bed or in the room where I'm going to be for a while and just kind of keep it around and keep it um, absorbing that energy. So remember, water is absorbing energy constantly. I did see we had somebody pop on Facebook for 1 minute. The bad part about being live is that you're going to lose a lot of train of thought, especially when you're not used to doing it a lot or if you don't have any type of transcript. Eventually, I'll have transcripts appear and stuff like that that I can utilize to keep my my thoughts in order. So I'm testing out a lot of different free platforms like CapCut, Restream, and some of them will have transcript capabilities. I don't know if I'm saying that right, transcript. I mean, where you can see the words or see what I'm supposed to say on a camera. It would actually be right in front of here, so I don't know how they do it yet, but it's a little bit of different tools and stuff basically I can use to be able to stay on topic and talk to the camera constantly without pausing as much. I don't know if that really matters, but I feel like the this is my year that the quality of my stream and my podcast and my business needs to go up to the max for next year. So yeah. Let me know, guys. I feel like it kind of matters on what your age is, but it might not. I don't know if anybody, if you're like 15, 16, or maybe 20, 21, let me know what your life path is. I mean, your personal year is. I'm interested to know if anybody's like in an 8 at that age or even a 9. I wonder if I can ask what mine would have been at that age, or if it resets. I'm thinking that resets. It's just going to keep resetting. So I would have to know what that is. I'm gonna do that in a little bit. Well, guys, I appreciate you for tuning in. For the one person that was on for 30 seconds, you did a good look out for me. And if you don't mind, excuse me, and hit that like button later on if you come back to it. We did drop a little bit of knowledge. I'm pretty sure I left some stuff out. I didn't. I kind of left a bunch of posts on my page about my own numbers that I really wanted to speak about, but I don't think it's really important for myself to share my own numerology. It's more about you guys and learning yours. That's what I really want you to do, if you don't mind. If you happen to see this at the end of it or skip to the end, go ahead and look up your numerology number, look up your life path, and look up your personal year. Appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one. That's one thing that you cannot get wrong, and it will help you to know how I can help if possible, or just put you on a new journey of self discovery and personal.